Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to our second volume of USM Gurbani study. This year we're going to be going over the Mool Mantra and the first 5 Paudis of Japji Sahib. So we're super excited to continue this program. We hope you gain something from it. We hope you increase your knowledge of Gurbani, and most importantly, you learn how to apply Gurbani to improve your everyday life. And I cannot thank you enough on behalf of all of us at USM for letting us do this seva, for you guys taking time out of your busy schedules to attend this class. We truly appreciate this opportunity. And again, we cannot thank you enough for that. So talking about the Mool Mantra and Japji Sahib, the Mool Mantra especially, but Japji Sahib as a whole, is extremely complex. And authors have written books just on the Mool Mantra, just on Naam, just on Sat, just on Karta Purakh. It is that deep of a concept. Each word in the Mool Mantra is extremely complex. So as a result, obviously, we don't have the ability to go into that much depth where we're literally teaching a book amount for each word. But at the same time, we want to raise the level of understanding. As, for example, Ik Oankar, which we are going over today, the definition that most people know growing up that you read online is that there is one God, or God is one. You know, technically, I suppose that's correct in its most basic form, but it doesn't really mean anything. And Ik Oankar is so much more than just saying simply God is one. So we're hoping that through this course, your knowledge of these words in the Mool Mantra and Japji Sahib as a whole will be somewhat between what you learn growing up, these basic concepts, and what we have scholarly authors writing books on. Hopefully your knowledge will be raised a bit to somewhere in the middle. So that's our goal here, is to raise our level of understanding and thinking about Gurbani. So going to Ik Oankar, starting off with, this is the center of Sikhi. This is the most fundamental, important part of Sikhi, is the phrase Ik Oankar. And as your facilitators have told you, Ik Oankar refers to 2 different concepts. You have the one, the Ik, but it's actually called Ekankar, and then you have the second portion, the Ura with the top line, called Oankar. So you have Ekankar and you have Oankar. Okay? The Ekankar, as you guys know, represents the Nirgun form of God, the abstract form. This is the energy form of God, the God that is permeated everywhere spiritually through energy, does not have any physical form. While Oankar represents the Sargun form of God. So the Sargun form is a physical, creative form of God that's present in us, in humans, in animals, in plants, in the air, in water. Anything that's created represents the Sargun form of God, which Oankar here symbolizes. So I'm not going to repeat what the facilitators have told you because the videos are supposed to provide other information, but I do want to emphasize again that the word Ik Oankar in particular, does not necessarily mean the number one. That it's not that the Guru is saying, there is one God as opposed to 2 or 3. Sure, that is true, but the purpose of saying one, Ekankar, is that your God is one of a kind. He is unique. There is no one like God, and as a result, there's only one. If you're one of a kind, obviously there's only one of you. There's not 2 or 3 of you. So the point of the one here is not numerically that there's one as opposed to 10 gods, but he's one of a kind. He's unique. So again, that's the gist literally of Ik Oankar, but let's go into more depth into it. And one thing you'll notice that with the Mool Mantra, something new that we've added to the course is a section on additional Bani. So in your workbooks, if you go to page 33, that's when the section begins for additional Bani, you'll notice that for almost every word in the Mool Mantra, we have additional Shabads. And you might be wondering, why do we have additional Bani? Well, the reason is because the Mool Mantra is so complex, so complicated. Many times authors need to use other forms of Gurbani, other lines of Gurbani to help define and explain those words. So Ik Oankar is of course super complicated. So we needed to use other Bani to help explain what these words mean. So let's start with Ik then. So the first Shabad, after the first two lines, Ekankar, Ek Pasara, Eke Apar Apara, and then the next line as well, they both talk about Creator God, right? The one Creator Lord created the expanse of the one universe, and then He pervades everywhere. So the idea here is that God is everywhere. He is the support of life. He in that energy form is everywhere in this world. Okay, that represents, of course, the Nirgun form of God, the Ekankar portion of Ekankar. Then continuing that later, the next Shabad we have here talks about, again, this idea of this one spiritual form of God, this one energy that pervades throughout the entire universe. So that's Ekankar. And then we look at Oankar. And there's actually a Bani called Dakhni Oankar, written by, of course, Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Dakhan represents South India. So Dakhni Oankar is a Bani that was written while Guru Nanak was visiting South India in one of his udasis. And he had a conversation with Hindu holy people in the south, and this is something they talked about. So this Bani was written during the time Guru Nanak Dev Ji was traveling in South India. So it's in Rag Ramkali, Ramkali Mehla Pehla, Dakhni Oankar. And then Guru Sahib gives us a definition of what Oankar is. So if you look carefully here, I'm on page 34 and then going to 35, you see from Oankar, Brahma was created. You look at the next line, the next page, the mountains, ages were created. Oankar created the Vedas, right? You look at here, this creation is a big part of Oankar, right? The Sargun form of God, the creator form, the physical form. That's what Oankar represents. You look at the next Shabad in Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Bani in Asa Divar, again talking about creation. Api ne aap sajeo. He created himself. And going to page 36, continuing the idea of the creation, right? Duye kudrat sajiye kar asan dikto jao. Then after that, after creating the creation, he sat in his own creation and was happy with it. Okay? And then continuing that idea in Guru Gobind Singh Ji's Bani, here we have quotes from Bachitra Nanak and Jap Sahib. Again, the word Oankar is used to describe the creator form of God. Okay? So we hope those extra lines provide more explanation as to what the Guru is referring to in using Ekankar and Oankar. And again, to summarize here, Ekankar represents the Nirgun form, the abstract, and Oankar represents the Sargun form, the creative physical form. And I want to end on this note as well, that the Mool Mantra in particular has several different explanations. This is not a kind of Bani that has one fully agreed upon definition, that 99.9% of the Panth agrees that this line means this or this word means that. There are several different interpretations of the Mool Mantra, and it's so deep that several interpretations are completely valid. So the ones that we're giving you in this course, in this videos, any material that we provide you represents the more mainstream interpretation of the Mool Mantra that is sort of universally accepted. And the sources for our information, what we're teaching you, is in the workbook. So you can see the authors that we're using, you can see the sources that we're using, and I'm a basketball fan. So for me, looking at the sources and seeing, Bhai Veer Singh is saying this, Bhai Khan Singh Nabha is saying this, these are the LeBron James and Kevin Durant's of Sikhi, of explaining Sikhi, because they were not only scholars, but they were saintly scholars. So they experienced all of this in their life. So those are the interpretations that this course is giving you based off of the authors written in our source list. And again, these are very mainstream, fully accepted views. However, I want to point out again, you may have heard a different definition or a different way of explaining the Mool Mantra, and most likely it's completely valid. So don't go home thinking that there's only one way of looking at this. There are actually plenty of ways of looking at it, all of which make sense in their own way. So again, that's just a testament to the depth of the Mool Mantra, how deep and complex it is. And again, we're trying hard here to, again, raise the level of understanding from just basic English definitions to something deeper. So with that, we will see you next week going over Satnam. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.